So I think we can start. Welcome everybody. It's Friday, so we are more casual. The weekend is coming. My name is Philip. I'm a project manager at Wayfare. Wayfare is a company based in Romania. We are providing Progress OpenEdge services for end customers and also for application partners. For those of you who attended yesterday opening session, I think you noticed the fact that the roadmap or the future trends are set for breaking up the monolith, services, microservices, basically packages, dependencies between packages. So it would be really nice to have like a friend or a beast that can help you with that. So this is basically the main topic that my colleague Valentin will discuss in the following minutes. So Vali, you have the stage.
Thank you, Ovidiu, for the introduction. My name is Valentin Duricu, and today's session will be about a way to manage packages in OpenEdge or for OpenEdge projects. But first, I'd like to make a connection with sessions from yesterday and the day before, where it was discussed about packages, about dependencies, about continuous integration, deployments, and somehow also related to my colleagues' sessions. So on Wednesday, you learned how to anonymize your data, and that we have a tool developed for these things. And yesterday, you've learned about some code metrics and ways to improve your code. Today, we kindly apply them. So we try to make a tool that uses good code metrics or good quality of the code, and try to anonymize the data that we used there. So if you attended their sessions, you can remember some stuff. If not, our sessions are and will be on YouTube for later to review them or to view them again. Today, we will try to answer some questions. What the problems might be, and why those problems appear, and we also try to find some ways on improving our problems, our daily coding, our way of developing applications. We will see if we have a solution, and yes, we have. We will try to do a small demo of it. Most of the demo is pre-recorded, just to be sure that it doesn't crash, and I didn't know if the internet connection is very good. So I tried to pre-record it to be on the safe side. And what is the future? What we think for the future of this application. But first, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Valentin. You can call me Wally. I forgot to add the picture of the Pixar robot. I'm a senior software developer at Wayfare. I also work for my own company and my parents' company. We do cookies, and we deliver them in our local town and at 120 kilometers away from my hometown. I have 8.5 years of development experience, web development, and 5.5 of them are using Progress OpenEdge technologies. Hobbies, because only programming and doing that stuff isn't good enough, or we'd get bored from time to time. I like to do some photography. The first picture on the slide was done by me. I like playing some music, mostly mixing it, and playing some games, like on Nintendo Switch, Xbox 360. You could have seen me playing some Guitar Hero at our stand. You are more welcome to come and play there. We have some nice prizes that you can win. And here at the bottom of the screen, you can see two links to my public repositories, where you can see some of my public work. And now, let's get back to our regular schedule and talk about topics of this presentation. Let's try to answer some questions. Here, I will need your input. What the problems with our applications are that are requiring us to use a dependency manager. So finding the problems, the right problems, right. The problems that need a dependency manager, that our dependency manager can fix. So let's see. So I think one of the biggest problems, in my opinion, is that usually OpenEdge applications are very large. It's a large code base. There are applications with 3,000 source files, split it maybe across folders or in a single folder that you have to go and find, and also there might be some duplicate code. So in source A.p and source Z.p is the same code, only something, a variable name is changed, or the way something is done based on an input variable. Also, if you have libraries that you have to download, frameworks, stuff like that, you have to go and assure that you're using the latest available, or if something happens, vulnerability, a latest fix is needed, you have to go and download it. Also, it's hard to refactor. Large application, duplicate code, you don't know exactly where your pieces of codes that are duplicated are. So if you refactor this source and want to use it, oh, I have the same code there. I have to edit it and again, merge the changes and all that stuff. Also, another problem, the code is not so easy to reuse. Large application, I want to start a new one. I want to copy some code from there. Something changed in the first application and needs to be applied to the second application as well. There are more problems besides this. Firstly, we talked about the code. Then, on a deploy site, you need to manage each client that you have. Go copy the new R code there. Have a new dependency or a new library, copy that over there also. It's not so easy to deploy. Large applications, you have to wait for your code to be copied. It can be an application of 3, 5 gigabytes of R code, images, and stuff like that. Maybe more, or maybe less. Configuration problems also. Each new developer that you get in your team will have to do some configuration. When you deploy to a new client, you have to build another configuration. Copy that configuration, change it to adequate the local machine or the production machine, all that stuff. And the list can continue. And now, why? Why would I change something in my application? It works. I'm happy with it. I do not do that many changes. Well, nowadays, with the microservices and all that stuff, micro applications, serverless, and all those crazy things, you should have smaller testable pieces. So I have this part of the functionality, let's say an invoicing system, a printing system. Well, I want to test only the invoicing, and I do not want it to be dependent on other elements. A new printing system should be done. If now I'm printing only invoices, maybe later I have to print some labels for shipments, or I don't know, for new products that I'm going to sell on a retail store. I can easily replace the printing module, the old printing module, with a new one that does some extra functionality. And if for client A, I need the printing with labels, and the client B, I do not want that, I can still reuse the old code, the old package. Code you're using, that's the most important thing. Start a new project, I use the code from the other project more easily. I know, maybe that is client dependent. So you write it for client A, and you have an NDA or some policies that do not allow you to copy the same code to client B. Yeah, that might be a problem. But if you do not have something like that, you can reuse your code. Also, you can only use what you need. I do not want to have a large application to be deployed to each client, because let's say one client can use only 3 parts, one client can use only one part, and so on and so forth. And I think the most important of all those reasons is that you have a smaller application. So you do not have the third-party libraries that you have to provide with your application. You can have only the modules that you need, and the list can continue. How can we do this? Well, let's say solutions based on manual deployment, manual coding, split the code into smaller components, packages, dependencies, and then you can consider a component like a smaller project for yourself, reuse those components, deliver only the components, copy, paste, or archive, or create a PL file and deploy that PL file to a client. Another way, in a more automated way, because you still, I quote the automated way, because you still have to write some lines of commands. Use our tool, which is a package or another package manager like Maven, NPM. Define some project dependencies. Our project A depends on project B, like in Eclipse, the linking between projects. Use an online repository, Maven Central, NPM.js, packages, and the list can continue. And as I said, packages, dependencies, dependency manager. Let's try to define what a package is. It's a folder where all the code that does something related, like the printing part, invoicing type, can have a separate package. This is an example from one of my projects. It's a sample module, sample package, written in JavaScript. What is a dependency? Can we identify them? No, this is a dependency. So I require Sequelize, which is a Node.js package. And I want the data types which is exposed by this package. Also, this one is a dependency, because from the puzzle framework, it will import the core.p object. And lastly, the dependency manager. It's an application that reads a file like this, where you define the name, a version, description, what the dependencies are, and you run a command like npm install. It will go read the file and install your dependencies locally on your machine. And at the end, we will end something like this. Some examples of package managers, I've already said some of them: npm, yarn, composer, nugget, maven, I don't know, bundler for Ruby if you work with Ruby, and the list can continue. We're almost there. So I finalized the theoretical part, and now we'll try to get to our proposal. So this is you, this is us, and there is our application. I see that the lines can be easily seen. So it's currently a proof of concept. It is dedicated to OpenEdge. So our idea is to only have OpenEdge packages there. No JavaScript, no PHP, no Ruby, no .NET, only Progress OpenEdge code. It is inspired by NPM, Yarn, Composer. So some of the elements you can see in the other applications. And it's composed of 3 parts: a file specification, a terminal command line interface application, and a web repository. It looks like this. A terminal application first reads the application.json file, then performs a request to the web repository. It gets back a response. You have to download these packages or update the dependency tree to look something like this. And in the end, the terminal application can update the application.json file. This is an optional step. It will not always happen. And let's talk about the project specification file. It's a standard file called application.json, has some standard fields. We try to make it easy to understand and to use a JSON file, because XML was very verbose. don't need that many tags. I don't need that many extra characters to be in my file. I can go and define something like this in a tree-like structure. So from this, the required files, name, version, and dependent into our web repository, you should, or anyone else should be able to find them easily. And if you update the code, you should increment the version. The version here should follow the semver notation. So you can have abc.q. It's not valid. You have to have numbers and tilde or dash something. Then optional elements, anything else. Author, contributors, license, issue tracking link, repository link, OA version, scripts, anything else. And what's more interesting, that you can have user-defined fields. Our validation tool that reads these files and checks that the required elements are there, and the optionals, if you have them, respect the convention, or you cannot put a boolean for the author. It should be a string. It will ignore the user-defined fields, but it will allow you to read this file and use whatever you want there. It's very useful for the developers to put, let's say, some configuration elements here. You don't have a .properties file or another XML file for configuration. You can have general configuration, put it here. The CLI application, it's like a minion for us. It will do all the dirty work. It will go, read the file, make a request to the server, and download the packages. If something is updated, it will go and, okay, I have version 1, I need version 2. Replace the version 1 with the version 2, update the dependency tree file. It is installed locally on your machine and works with various package managers, package repositories. Because we don't want to enforce you to use only our standard and in cloud. And if you have some enterprise or you do not want your code to be available everywhere, you can use an internal repository. It goes, looks on your files and on your application file and makes a request to the repository to fetch files, install package, then after fetching the files, it will install them locally and keep a cached version of the file. Just when you need for another project, it will look there and won't do a request to download another file. It will publish your package if you want to. It will run some scripts, some aliases for you. So you can, if you have a migration command that you want to run and to have just to write CLI, run migration, DB migration. It will just run that command. And for that command, you can have lines and lines of code. And it will generate the right ProPath for you using right now, at this moment, a bootstrapping package. The web repository, its role is only to store your packages. So if you want to publish your package in the repository, it will be stored. And when you want to go and search for a specific package, go there, type your package, enter, and it gives you some packages with the same name. It also contains the documentation for the CLI and file specification. And it is made for cloud as a public repository, but it can be deployable in enterprise environments, in private repositories. Yeah, this green is too green. And I only talked in general terms. The name of the application, because you've already heard my colleague talking about it. It's called Beast. Doesn't have any specific reason why we choose Beast. It was just funny. And that tool agrees with me. Before doing the demo, I'd like to thank my colleague, Daliana, for doing the UI UX interface, doing the design of the website, of the web repository, and the logo, and choosing the perfect colors for our team. It's time for the demo, because I've talked a lot. And as I said that it was pre-recorded demo, we have 4 packages and 2 applications. We have a validity tool, a backend application, Kendo UI Builder generated UI that uses catalog, and a Sports 2000 that was developed using the desktop version of the UI, the Progress UI, just to have something fast built using Progress UI and Progress for desktop. This is the start, and we want to write here to update the validity tool, its version, and the way that the Sports 2000 backend uses the validity tool, and the Sports 2000 UI to use the new backend. And I've highlighted better to see the version changes. For the validity tool, this is the package definition. It has a name, a version, and description, author, and some keywords. Package structure, we will see it in more details when I will open the Developer Studio. It's only one file, isValid.p, which has several functions to check if variable or parameter is valid. It doesn't have the null value. So, for the publishing of this package, you just write beast publish, and it will archive your current folder. We will implement, besides this archiving, using the tar compression with the gunzip stuff, to use the PL files to generate a PL and deploy, publish a PL file to our server. When the package is published on the web repository, it will look something like this. Who published it, which is the current version available, and when it was published, together with the name and the description that you wrote there. And here are those 2 keywords that we wrote earlier. This is how it looked now. This is how it looks now. This is how it will look after. We will add this class. And the updated code. We will see it later again. For the backend, again, the name, the version, description, author, and keywords, and the dependencies. Because we said that the Sports 2000 backend will depend on the validity tools. We had to specify it here. How it looks as of now. We have the application.json file, the customer be.p, and tt customer, and the code in the customer be.p, just to fetch some data. Currently, it doesn't use the validation tools. To install our dependency, we write only beast install, and it will look on the file and download the package. After you run the beast install command, a special folder is created called OE modules, where all your dependencies will be installed. Unzipped, or the PL files will be added there. Another file that was added is this application.tree.json that contains all our dependency, or the dependency tree for our application. When we want to publish this application, this new application, again, beast publish, it will read and push the project to the web repository. The update process of this project will have to add the customer B class to the new structure. And for the .p file, we added the validation tools, and the new class uses the validation object defined earlier. Sports 2000 UI, same file, same dependencies. You can have, for example, if you only need for development, like debugger or something, just to check, okay, I'm in development, I want to output some extra data, some debugging data. You can add some development dependencies. They will only be installed in a development environment. Again, beast install, and it will install our dependencies. Since the sports backend depended on the validated tools, it used the 0.1.1 version. Package structure, I expanded the OE modules. We have the boot package, has the procedure, propet.json and the TT propet. This will build the propet for your application. You can use it everywhere. The Sports 2000 backend and the validity tools. And here is my customer window. So the boot.p looks something like this, and the TT propet looks something like this. It reads from the OE modules, boot propet.json, the right propet that will be used in our application. And this is the application tree JSON. I expanded here because here I have two packages, two modules. Sports 2000, backend, and validity tool. As I said, it was used for development. Got here, dev true. Kendo UI builder, the same as the progress UI package definition. Again, beast install. It will install the Sports 2000 backend. Structure as a progress application that generates a catalog and a JSDO file. And now I will try to show you the live part. Just copy pasting some code. I won't do actual code, just some minor changes. Okay. Yeah, come on. Okay. So this is how it looks right now, the application. I know that the green parts don't look that perfect in this projector, but on my screen they look a little bit better. So if I open a package, it gives me the title of the application, the description, again the same description. Here, if you have a readme.md file, that text will be displayed over here. On the left, the description, you can see the contributors. It's only me right now. The dependencies, you can click on them and then see information about the dependencies that you have, and the published versions. It was and some other information like when it was published and the keywords. So I will go back to my code and try to use the magnifier for this part. As I said, right now I'm only having the validity tools, the isValid.p file. And it has only these functions. Now I will add the two new files. The validity object, and I will update the application.json file from 0.1.1 to 0.2.0. Save it. Okay. PowerShell is trying to annoy me. Here, it looks a little bit better. So I will just do beast publish. I'm unauthorized. So I have to log in. Beast, log in. Come on. Come on, PowerShell.
Not usable outside from menu.
I will go back to CMD. Edit. This. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
The
Beastie.
I will enter my username, my email, and a password. So, if you don't have credentials on the public repository, by just entering this information, a user will be created for you. Now I will do the beast publish. And yay, I published my package. No more unauthorized stuff. And if I go back to the application, you can see, I hope, that I published 0.2.0 a few seconds ago. And if I go here in the versions, you can see that I have these 3 versions. Now, I've updated the validity tool. Let's update the other tools. So, the sports backend, I'll update it to be 0.2.0. Here I will have 110, and I will copy my code. So, as I said, I now have this persistent validation function, and if I here, the validation, the usage of the validation object. Here I have some problems because currently in Eclipse I do not have the latest package of the validation object. So I will just go back to the console, cd sports 2000 backend, beast update, and it updated with the version 0.2.0. Let's refresh this. Okay. Valid object. You are there. I need to check the prop path to see that I've added the right paths. A feature that want to implement in the final version, so you don't have to go and manually edit this prop path part. So I will add a workspace directory, OE modules, workspace tools, and workspace. Okay, and now you can see that it will compile. No syntax error. Let's publish the updated version. It included some R files, which isn't good, but we can ignore them using a special file, which isn't shown in Eclipse, but I can show you right here. So using the .gist ignore, something like npm ignore, like git ignore, you can always ignore files, folders, or anything you want from your current folder. Now, customer B class has a method to fetch data. And first of all, I will show you, yes, how the current window looks like. So I have 10 records. It's only a browse using a temp table. It's not the right database connection. Okay, and I will try to update my dependencies. So here I will use the Sports Backend 1.1.0. Again, cd wait. The new packages are fetched. Yes. I will refresh it. And in my code, in main block, where I used previously the persistent library with the persistent procedure customer.be, I will use right now a class. So dv fetch data t custom. And now I will run the UI, and I only get 5 records because in the class I said that if pi how many isn't a valid integer, then set it to 5. So this is for the progress part, and as I said, I have a Kendo UI application that it will take some moments to start. Actually done. Meanwhile, while the Kendo UI builder does the application, I can show you the mockup for our UI. So this will be the landing page, a login page, a description of the contributors. Doesn't seem too good in the projector. the dependencies, versions, some information about the application, and the search page, and the results. So this is just a mock-up that we will try to implement. Okay. Getting started. No. Okay, it opened here. Until it finishes reading the Kendo UI, I will try to continue with my session. Okay. So if you want a private demo, more detailed information, more information about the commands, repository, how it works, our ideas for the future, you can come and at our booth and register as both the tester and a person who wants a private demo. For the future, the American wrapper one, yeah, but not, it isn't related to our session. So we want to release the beta in the near future, publish the cloud repository, extend the documentation that we have currently, integrate it with Developer Studio, integrate it with other tools, integrate other tools here, maybe wait for Sonar, using the Sonar OpenEdge plugin to download your packages or your dependencies locally on the build server, in Jenkins, whatever you want, and we want. Questions if you have. No one?
Did you say that it's hard to refactor an OpenEdge application?
A large code-based application, yes. Not only OpenEdge.
So how do you expect to split that OpenEdge application in small pieces that you can?
You can start. You can start by looking on your application and see, okay,
How bad it is.
that's the first step, and then look, okay, so I have the printing part, the invoicing part, customer management part, user management part. Now I will try to separate the user management from the whole entire application in its own package, and then call from that part the new package or the new service. And again, then the next part, identify, isolate, create the project, the package, and then use it for the future updates of your application.
Another thing that might be different in OpenEdge world is that it's not very open.
Yeah.
So I don't expect any public repository to be out there, though people to push in
We can try.
packages.
Yeah, I know, but we can try a change to make changes in smaller steps, and maybe let's say the validate like a tool like the validation part. You have a big library for validating code, variables, temp tables, XML files. I don't know, something that does something, and you want it to be freely available to others. We can try to do the change and bring some openness to the OpenEdge. Microsoft did it.
Yeah.
So with the new CEO, not with Steve Ballmer, we have openness even at Microsoft. Other questions? No one? Okay. So I am Valentin Duricu, and this was my session. Thank you. Hey, and the Kendo UI. 5 minutes later.